Hello, welcome to National Distance Learning Week with SUNY Online. I'm Lori Palmer, and I'm the Senior Help Desk Analyst with SUNY Online. If you've ever needed help with Brightspace, we've probably talked. It's my pleasure to welcome you today and to introduce our speaker, Claudia Cafarelli. Claudia, I hope I'm saying your name right.
You are?
Claudia is an adjunct professor in economics and finance, and she's also an instructional technologist at Nassau Community College. Her personal finance courses empower young people to take control of their future. Claudia is also a faculty trainer in the campus LMS and other educational technologies. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you so much, Lori. I wanted to start off with finding out who is here today. So if all of you could just put into the chat if you are an instructional designer or a faculty member, and then I'll tell you why that's going to be important in a little bit. We've got both instructional designer. Okay, I'm preaching to the choir then. Okay, that's great. Excellent. Okay, yes, I'm Claudia Cafarelli. I am both in the classroom teaching and I am supporting faculty here at Nassau Community College. I think it's important to understand balancing how we're trying to keep up to date with our teaching material in the classroom. In finance, we've got inflation reports that come out. We have the ever-changing stock market. And then at the same time, I'm trying to use educational technologies. What I wanted to do in here, sorry, we have a motion sensor light in this building. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you case studies. I started to work with faculty the beginning of last summer, and just kind of putting it into their radar, what was going to happen in April of 2026. I support faculty in a one-on-one format. They register through Microsoft Bookings, and we have a field where they can put into what the special request is, that what we're going to be meeting about. So if time allows, I actually provided a demo for them, how they could make their course material a little bit more accessible. Otherwise, I would just let them know this is happening and let's meet sometime over the summer before things get a little crazy. Because I'm in the classroom, I understand that just 5 years ago, faculty were introduced to learning management systems, and then we went from Blackboard to Brightspace. So they're really fatigued and, quite frankly, resistant to any additional changes. So I wanted to get a sense for how hard it was going to be for us in instructional design to get them to understand that this was really important. And so I'm going to go over today my experiences with faculty. And what I would like for you to do, in either you can put it into the chat or at the end of today's session, I would like to hear what your experiences have been working with faculty. I think it'll really help us to create a forum where we can share how we're overcoming some of that resistance. What you're seeing on your screen right now is are the gauges that we see in our accessibility tool at Nassau Community College. We have Anthology Ally. And so at the bottom of the screen from left until right, you're seeing left, we've got a green gauge. It's pinned all the way to the right. It's 100%. It's a perfect score. And then you have a lighter green. You're starting to see some problems in accessibility. Anthology is detecting them. In the middle, you have the yellow gauge. Then we get to orange, and then we get to the red all the way on the right. The red one is Anthology is picking up a lot of problems with accessibility. So I'm going to follow that format through the entire presentation. And again, feel free to just put it into the chat what your experiences are. So what I'd like to go over today is how I became convinced about the benefits of universal design, how I'm attempting to convince faculty to employ universal design, faculty experiences and how much time they had to invest, specific faculty cases, and again, I'd like you to share your own experiences. So the first thing that I try to do is to convince faculty by letting them know that there is a what's in it for me. The acronym WIIFM is, yeah, that's okay, but what do I get out of it? So what they do get out of it is that they're not reactive. I tell a story about a faculty member several summers ago who came back from a wonderful summer vacation to learn that she was going to have to completely revamp her course. We informed her that we had been contacted by the Helen Keller Foundation and that she had a deafblind student in her class. It took her and one full-time instructional designer and myself, 2 weeks to revamp her course. So the what's in it for me is that if you are proactive about it, then you won't have to go through that experience. It creates reusable materials. And what I mean by that is that for faculty who teach fully online and develop accessible materials for fully online, they're going to notice that they can use that in their in-class courses. So I'll go over some examples there. Providing flexibility for diverse needs. At Nassau Community College, we have a population where students sometimes are going to school full-time and working full-time. So they are engaging with our content maybe on their break. And things like captioning on videos really helps them out because they're in the break room and they can't put on a full lecture. So the captioning helps them to engage with the video. And also at the beginning of the semester when we receive accommodations for students, again, this is reactive. Sometimes we become overwhelmed with individual requests. So the what's in it for me that I tell faculty is if you do it right the first time, it's going to save you a lot of time during the semester. So I'm very happy that joining us today live is John Javons. That's the video that you see on the screen. The reason why I think it's so important to develop awareness is that even though we think we understand what's going on with universal design and with accessibility, we can't really appreciate it until we hear it firsthand. And I'm ashamed to say that as a volunteer for the Guide Dog Foundation for the Blind, I still don't fully appreciate, particularly in an educational setting, just how bad it can be. So I'm going to play this video. Thank you, John, for giving us permission to display this. And I hope that everybody is as inspired as I was when we filmed it.
Hello, my name is John Javons. I'm the technical assistant at the Center for Students with Disabilities at Nassau Community College. I've been here 30 years. I have no vision. However, that is not the focus of my responsibilities here. I primarily assist students, faculty, and staff with accessibility concerns, especially those involving electronic resources like computers. I also assist in terms of providing alternative text, including Braille, as needed. I live in a text-based world. Designing a presentation or a PDF for accessibility involves trying to make the content useful rather than pretty. While it's nice to look at a screen with lots of flowery designs and pictures and insets, they don't necessarily add to the content value of the material actually being presented. Living in a text-based world, I either don't notice those aspects at all, or I just slide past them because I'm asking the screen reader to simply read the screen. I'd like to share two experiences with you. I was at a presentation where the speaker put on their presentation slide a whole bunch of pictures of persons who had become deceased. And they very respectfully took a moment of silence in memory of those people. And I sat wondering who passed away. I had no idea. That particular slide was not useful to me or anybody else with no vision. Reading the names aloud as they went past would be useful. I could take a picture with something like these meta glasses and find out who they were later, or I can find out later from the actual presentation slides whose names were on the list. A second example is a presentation I went to which put an entire section of the law on the screen and said, I won't waste your time reading this. You can look at it on the screen or read it later. Again, if I'd had the presentation slides in advance, which is very rarely the case, I could have pre-read them. If enough time is given, again with the meta glasses, I could take a picture of them and have it read to me, which of course would take more time, and then I would miss what the speaker was saying next. So putting a lot of information on the screen and referring to it, but not reading it, is not particularly useful to people with no vision.
So I hope that you're feeling a wow moment there. John, I'll be contacting you after my presentation to make sure that that I did an at least okay job in addressing and getting you to enjoy what I'm going to cover. So this slide is our NCC Ally course report. What you're looking at is our main navigation bar. And under Learning Technologies, we included the Ally course report so that faculty could conduct the report independently in any one of their classes. And we think that that's important and very empowering for them. On this screen, what you're seeing is the actual Ally course report for a course. In the upper left, you're seeing a not so light green, 79% for this course. Ally is very useful in that it tells you what kind of course content you have. So in the middle of the screen, you're seeing how many PDFs there are here, how many images there are, how many Word documents there are. And particularly useful is that Ally also tells you the content that you have with the easiest issues to fix and those that are actually the hardest to fix. And that's fixing the low scoring content. That's what they consider it. And they'll tell you how many you have. Most helpful, you'll see on the bottom of the screen, is being able to click where there are accessibility issues. It explains how much content is affected, and it will actually give you some pointers on how to adjust and how to make your content more accessible. So I'm going to start off with perfect or near perfect. And so in the lower right of the screen, you're seeing nice dark green gauge, and it is pinned to the right at 100%. So a perfect course would be closed captioned, accurately closed captioned. It would be free from flashing images. Documents have headers and subheaders. Images are using alternative text. PDFs are formatted for optical character recognition. Hyperlinks are descriptive. Tables are formatted for useful navigation, and there are no contrast issues. This is not the complete list. So what I have found in my experience with faculty, and again, for those of you who might have popped in a little later, if you could please put in the chat or write down some questions. You might have had some case studies that you'd like to share as well. What I'm showing you here is a faculty member that I met with. We were actually working on a different project, and he said, just for kicks, let's take a look at my syllabus. So his syllabus scored orange, 53% is what you're seeing on the upper right of the score of the page. And Ally was telling him that his document did not have headings. So what's important that I want you to see here is the way he formatted his Word document. The upper left where it says NCC 101, the college experience, that was in a text box, and that felt comfortable for him to be able to design his course. You'll see also that he has those rectangles in order to separate the text on his document. And then he's got those nice little, in the lower left, he's got those nice little arrows. So for someone who's sighted, this is perfectly fine, but it was contributing to his lower score. The course description, the bolded and underlined course description, class text, attendance policy, and grading assignments, all those separate sections were not subheaders. And so they were what was bringing his score down to a 53%. What I want to point out to you on the next slide, I'm going to give you a side by side. This doesn't look different to a sighted person, But what it did, and it ended up giving him that perfect 100% score in the upper right where it's nice and green, was that we removed the text from the text box. NCC 101, the college experience, was taken out of the text box. It was made into a header. And very simply, those little rectangles that were being used to separate, those were made decorative. When he inserted the rectangles and the arrows in the lower left, he just uploaded the icon and did not make it decorative. So that was lowering his accessibility score. And then course description, class text, and attendance policy was created as a subheader. So that all contributed to a perfect accessibility score. And so once again, I'm just showing you here the difference. For us who are sighted, there's absolutely no difference whatsoever. For John, when he's using his screen recorder, the difference is that he would be able to be more comfortable in navigating the Word document that had the higher accessibility score. So the estimated time to fix a document, 10 seconds to a minute per header and subheader. It does assume that the faculty member has that original document to edit. The faculty may need to modify their header preferences. That's something that takes a few seconds. But once they start getting used to how to use headers and subheaders, it really is just seconds. Now, remember, in order to be proactive from now on, we're going to start to only design our Word documents with headers and subheaders, so we don't have to go back. When I created these slides, I wanted to insert the little icons, the little gauges that Anthology Ally has. And so when I inserted it, on the right-hand side of the screen, what you're seeing there is an opportunity to add a description of what I have included. And so what I wrote in here was a dark green gauge with the dial in the 3 o'clock position indicating a maximum score. And so what that does for someone who lives in a text-based world is they're not going to see the green gauge, but they're going to know that there's a green gauge there, and the color and more of a description of what that image is. The estimated time to fix an image is about 10 seconds to a minute, again, depending on how much experience you have. Again, it assumes that the faculty has the original document to edit. Checking the decorative box just takes a few seconds, a second, and that's the case with the faculty member that I shared with you had decorative elements to separate parts of his syllabus. Writing a description will take about a minute. There is an AI option, and sometimes you have to edit it, so that might take a little bit more time. Contrast issues is really big. This is a big violator. So what you're seeing here is a slide. In this case, the faculty member has been teaching for many years. They downloaded a PowerPoint presentation many years ago that they continue to use in their courses. I think many of us are guilty of this. And so the score for this slide is 44%, it's orange. And Ally is telling us that the presentation contains text which has insufficient contrast. So what happened with the designer here is that they used a very pretty gradient. The gradient on the left-hand side is a lighter green, and then it goes into a darker green on the right-hand side. So what's nice about Anthology Ally is that it identifies exactly where the problem is. So the red boxes that you're seeing are identifying where the color contrast is not sufficient. So you're seeing that the white lettering on the light green gradient on the left-hand side has insufficient contrast. What we did here was we downloaded the offending PowerPoint. We re-uploaded it to PowerPoint, and we used one of the built-in templates that PowerPoint has. We chose a light gray on a black background. And so now the contrast, according to Ally in the upper right, is perfect, 100%, a nice dark green. Estimated time to fix an entire PowerPoint when you are have an updated version of PowerPoint, 1 minute to 10 minutes. It involves downloading the file, opening it in PowerPoint, selecting the new design. Sometimes there's going to be additional time needed to adjust the changes in some of the formatting of the lettering. Videos needing to be closed captioned. So at Nassau Community College, we use Kaltura as our video management tool. Like its competitors like Panato or Yuja, they provide captioning. Some faculty use YouTube, which has captioning as well. What we don't recommend is that you upload a video file without captioning. And I'm just going to remind you that we have non-native speakers. We have those students who are in noisy environments and would like to read to accompany what the speech is. And some students just learn better through reading. So having the voice and the text is extremely useful. I'd like to thank my colleague in the economics department, George Frost, who gave me permission to show these images. He developed his asynchronous class with, he's got dozens of video lectures. Economics is not an easy concept. And so what he learned was that the videos were not just useful in his asynchronous class, but useful also in his face-to-face class. So I'm going to read his quote, what he told me about why he feels that including videos in all his classes are important. Using the lecture videos to flip the classroom allows me to use each class as a tutorial rather than a pure lecture. This method allows high-achieving students that would almost certainly get an A under every pedagogical approach to have the time to think about more advanced topics. However, this method has allowed hardworking, emphasis on hardworking, marginal students to be better prepared about the material before class and allows them to use class time to troubleshoot areas of difficulty and to lift their grades. The downside to this method is that students who show up to class unprepared to review topics that they have never encountered before are unable to catch up. And so, however, if you know George Frost, he's got a good sense of humor. However, there is an easy fix for these students: just show up prepared. The estimated time to caption can take minutes to hours. Most video management tools that provide captioning, after uploading the video, it can take minutes to hours for the captioning to appear. The accuracy of automated closed captioning can be as low as 60 to 70%. So you should allot additional time to learn how to edit captions in your own video management tool. Editing the captions is definitely going to take additional time. Your videos should be free from flashing images. Over the summer, during the Otter week, I listened to a student who had a seizure disorder. I did a little bit more research on it. I was not familiar with this. Your videos should be free from flashing images. For some classes, for instance, if you have like a weather class, you might need to show a video on lightning. And so you should, if possible, remove it if you don't really need it. But if you do need it, you should add a warning. So that would take an estimated time of just a few minutes to add a warning. The warning would be: this video may potentially trigger seizures for people with photosensitive epilepsy or affect those with other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised, and then they know to either look away or to turn off the video for that time. So we're going to get into the lighter green. So here are some easy fixes for people who have some accessibility issues in their course. You can review alternative videos in your library databases. At Nassau Community College, we have Swank, Canopy, and Films on Demand. And those are excellent educational resources that are closed captioned. So you should reach out to your library databases for some alternatives. You should be contacting your third-party vendors to learn more about their accessibility plan. And something that I did encounter was PowerPoint design and headers in PowerPoint. PowerPoint slides. These are easy fixes. I had a faculty member who's in the theater department who uses a third-party resource called Digital Theater Plus. And I asked this faculty member to contact the company because she had embedded dozens of PDF documents from this resource, and they were all coming up on Anthology Ally as being read, non-compliant. So she contacted her representative. The representative presented this document, which is an accessibility roadmap. And so reading from this roadmap, we have established a comprehensive plan to address accessibility requirements. And October 2025, they're going to have a professional accessibility audit. And November to December of 2025, they're going to develop a detailed remediation plan based on those audit findings. And then from January 2026 onwards, they're going to implement remediation measures. So this was a faculty member that I met with over the summer, and she is now actively reaching out to the representative to talk to them about the PDF documents that she has in her course and how she's going to start replacing them with the accessible PDFs. Many faculty, including myself with my older PowerPoint presentations before I was aware of how terrible this is, I deleted titles on my PowerPoint presentations. So on the left-hand side, I have a nice little slide. It has a title, what's the point of the graphic or image? And then I have the image of the pink laptop on a white surface. On the right-hand side, many faculty would remove the title because they want to make the image larger and better for sighted people. So as I move to the next slide, I want to show you what this problem is. So when you remove the slide title, the person who is using the recorder doesn't know what the slide is about. So when you upload your PowerPoint to Brightspace, it does a nice little thing on the left-hand side. It breaks out the titles for all of the slides. But look at the lower left of the screen, and you're going to see that at the end, we're left wondering what's on slide 23 and 24. So the title was removed from that slide, and the person who is living in a text-based world has absolutely no idea what's on there. The estimated time to add the titles is really minutes per slide. Another consideration would be that if you need to make room for the slide, you're going to need additional slides to break out all of the images. So that might take a little bit of extra time because you'll be redesigning that PowerPoint. Now we're getting into the yellow. All right, it's getting a little bit harder now. The gauge now is at the 12 o'clock, so we're not perfectly pinned to 3 o'clock. These are easy, but somewhat time consuming. So these are PowerPoint presentations that have lots of images, and let's face it, that's why we use PowerPoints, because we want to use images, but we neglected to alt text them. So now we have to go back and we have to put alt text back into all those images. And then adding it to this is that sometimes we have hyperlinks and they are just not descriptive. So let me give you just an example of what I mean here. So every time you upload an image to PowerPoint, you're going to have the opportunity to either mark it as decorative. On the right-hand side, you can see the little box that comes up. At the bottom where it says mark as decorative, that could be an example of that arrow that we saw in the syllabus earlier, or the rectangle. But what we're trying to do for people who are viewing these PowerPoints in a text-based world is to give them a description of what they're seeing. And so here, I put in a pink computer on a white surface. And there is an option underneath that where you can use AI-generated content. So John asked me when he saw this image, is it important that I know that it's pink? And, you know, seeing it the way he says it, I actually didn't know how to answer that. So you should be asking yourself, what's the point of the graphic or the image? And that would be your description. The estimated time to change your slides, that depends how many slides you have. Right-clicking each image to alt text and coming up with the description or editing the AI suggestion can take some time, but that's really going to be highly dependent on how many images you have. Editing hyperlinks. So we have a habit of writing things like click here. So instead of doing that, maybe you want to write, in this case, submit your essay. And that's a hyperlink. Someone like John, who is using a screen recorder, he showed me how he has the ability to isolate all of the links. So he would be able to see that submit your essay is a hyperlink. It would be read to him that that is a hyperlink. Instead of writing learn more, consider describing it a little bit more, like learn more about our accessibility policy. Instead of just the word download, consider adding a little bit more of a description, download our annual report. And if you look at the entire hyperlink for this Zoom event, that just doesn't even look good on the page. So consider using to join the webinar and then using the hyperlink as a link so that someone could just click to join the webinar and then be directed right there. The other thing to consider with editing hyperlinks and making them more descriptive is that as people become more aware of phishing, if you're familiar with that, and are more concerned about security, you may actually lose some opportunities for people to click because they're afraid to click because they don't know where they're going. So editing hyperlinks is just really good practice. What's the estimated time? Seconds to minutes per hyperlink. It is going to take you time to identify where the hyperlinks are in all of your files. And the time is going to be dependent on how many hyperlinks you need to change. Some faculty experience writer's block when they're trying to come up with hyperlinks. I do recommend that you can use ChatGPT for that. So you can put the hyperlink into ChatGPT or Copilot, whichever generative AI that you use. And then you can ask it to come up with a 4 to 6 word description for you. All right, now it's getting fun. We're in the orange now. It's getting a little bit harder. The following requires some skills and may require the help of instructional designers, definitely more time. For those of you who have tried to format tables, I think when I asked John about what his recommendation was with tables, he said, just don't. But some of us really do like the visual representation of tables. Sometimes they require not just the row and column editing, but we have to format cell by cell. Lecture videos that were recorded on software that have no captioning, and some offenders here are faculty who narrated their PowerPoint slides and then exported them to a video and uploaded them to their course. That requires that you have the video and to upload it to your video management software. So that's going to take some time and probably a instructional designer to help you out. PDFs that need to be formatted for optical character recognition. So it's not impossible to take a PDF and to run it through special software to convert it into a Word document. We have faculty who no longer have access to computers where they created their original documents. And so depending on the campus that you're on, your technology or your instructional designer may be able to provide that service for you. Without having that software, there are some free options, but that's definitely going to take some time if you've got PDFs and you don't have original documents to edit. And then we have adopting e-textbooks and courseware. And so this is a really interesting topic. Going back to the estimated time here. It can take you weeks. You have to have a session to review your needs and formulate a plan if you've got lots of tables in your course. If you need to contact the library, for instance, for videos, learning the skills to edit tables and to use Kaltura can take some time, and the time to convert the PDFs to editable documents. So here we are with adopting e-textbooks and courseware. When I teach asynchronously, I do use courseware. I love it. All of the PowerPoints are accessible. The questions are keyboard navigable. The videos are automatically include transcripts and are closed captioned. And the textbook has a built-in reader. So you're seeing on your screen right now a multiple choice question where in the upper right, the student can listen to the question. And so that could be a learning preference for them. So this is courseware. Here's a slide of a video transcript. So the video transcript is very conveniently located right above the video, where the video is. Most courseware, this is from McGraw-Hill, but most courseware is going to have this feature. That student who is taking a break from their job and is in the lunchroom and would like to catch up on some textbook reading, they can read it and they can also listen to it. So on the screen here, you're seeing the page of an e-textbook, and they have the choice. In the box here, they have the choice to listen to it as well, listen to the e-textbook. So this is not for the faint-hearted. The estimated time to adopt an e-textbook and courseware can take months. You'll need your publisher support specialist and an instructional designer to take you from design to final grading. Remember that you have to review the textbook first and the courseware, sometimes from different publishers, to consider for adoption. You'll be meeting with your publisher support specialist. You have to schedule that and allow time for that. You need to review the new e-textbook and its features. You need to learn how to use the courseware. And then if you want to pair it with the LMS, then you have to meet with the instructional designer on your campus, who will help you throughout the semester. And then finally, you may want to integrate and pair your course, particularly with the grading system. And that will take some support from both the publisher and your instructional designer. All right, we're here. This, I'm going to share with you two of the hardest cases, not because they were difficult, but because they took up so much time, almost the entire summer. A faculty member that I worked with who had only scanned documents in her course, and a faculty member who had multimedia PowerPoints. I became so friendly with the faculty member who had the multimedia PowerPoints that I have asked her to guest speak at the NCC version of this presentation tomorrow. So the faculty member who had scanned documents, what you're seeing on the screen right now is on the top, the PDF document that she had scanned. On the right, you're seeing the red ally score, completely unreadable. You cannot, someone who's using a screen recorder cannot extract any information from it because after all, it's an image. The scanned PDF document is an image. And then below that, what we did is we created a link for the exact same document. This is the picture of what the scanned document looked like in her course. It's just a scanned document. You can even see the little wrinkle in the upper left where she had maybe like earmarked the document. And so what we did is we went online and we looked for the identical document online. You can see it's an external link. You can see up on top the URL. And on this website, it is accessible. So you even have a button there where you can press it to listen to the article. The second scanned document was an article from Time that she really loved and she felt was very supportive of the material that she was teaching. So I enlisted the support of the library. The library showed us how the faculty member could look at the library databases to get what's called a permalink. And in the lower right of the screen, what you're seeing is the output from the library database, where the faculty member could create this permalink, embed it into her course, and then students would be able to access it. So this slide is showing the result of the student access in the Brightspace course. It is a link that copied from one semester to the other semester, will most likely still be live, and the student now has an accessible link to the material. The estimated time here is what I found was this particular faculty member took the whole summer because she took the opportunity to review all the documents in her course. And so she found some newer documents that she liked better. The meetings that we had with the librarian and with myself, and then learning how to replace the content in her Brightspace course took quite a bit of time, so almost weeks. And this is probably the most challenging course that I encountered the entire summer. The faculty member told her it took her full time, almost the entire month of August. So kudos to her that she took this on. She's very proud of her course now. She feels that that all students are going to benefit from the revisions that she made to her course. Earlier, I explained to you that when you have PowerPoint points in your class and you remove the titles, the person who is using a screen recorder has absolutely no idea what the course is about. This faculty member was teaching art history, and so she wanted as many images as possible. The screen that you're seeing, the slide that you're seeing there has 3 very pretty vases from the ancient Greek period. But on the left-hand side, which is the Brightspace output for her PowerPoint presentation, I'm calculating here, I think she had 65 slides in this presentation. And by my count, she's got 6 with a title. So someone who is using a screen recorder is seeing slide 2, 3, 4, all the way down to slide 65 and has no idea what this is about. She has this really nice table on this slide. I'm showing you a very pretty table with nice colors on it, but it was flagged for contrast issues. This slide is an image of a table, so completely useless to someone who is living in a text-based world because they can't extract any data from an image. This was her PowerPoint. It has a picture of, let me see, a 2-inch pebble resembling a human face. Her description is saying that it's from South Africa from 3 million years ago. And it's a nice picture for those of us who can see it, but will not help someone, particularly because it wasn't all texted. And here we have the exact same teaching intent, and that is to show students the pebble face, but she used all of the technology from Brightspace. And so you'll see that at the bottom, she extracted the description for pebble face, and she put the text underneath the image, which, by the way, she got out of Flickr. Flickr is a database that has images that are already all texted. And so now her course, and sorry, in the upper left, the student can also listen to what she typed in here. So those are my experiences. I don't know if we have enough time here, but I would love to hear your experiences.
Sure, I'll post links to where people can access our recordings and everything for those that have to leave, but we would love to capture in the recording any other experiences that folks have. I know that there have been some comments a little bit throughout in the chat, so that's always good. Claudia, we can kind of review those together as well. There is a question from Ken. Have you had any faculty who use LaTeX to author and then generates PDF or blocks out code, like computer science, data science, training and programming AI? And if so, how did you handle that? That's a challenge that they're having at UB.
I don't know. No, I have not. I don't. And I'm going to save this, the chat, and I'll definitely look into that. So Ken, when you find out, if you could let me know, that would be great.
Yeah, I know some of the disability services offices have specialized software like that, like LaTeX. So I'm curious about the output on that. Yeah. And Doris
Now,
mentioning
Laura,
equations. Yes, for sure. Math
yeah,
faculty are having trouble. Yeah.
I'm also seeing, Lori Palmer is saying that even for sighted persons, scanned documents can be challenging because they are not keyword searchable. Yes, absolutely. The distortion, Lisa Kucha is talking about the distortion from missing information. Doris?
Hi, thank you. I was trying to type it, but it's easier to say. So I'm in conversation with some folks at the SUNY level about possibly setting up some discipline-specific communities of practice around accessibility. So things like math, science, and business folks who are dealing with equations and other things that are specific to that. And as soon as I know more, someone else will know things, and hopefully we can get that done, because I think some things just, if you're teaching, say, an art and design or an art and history course versus you're teaching a painting course versus you're teaching a digital graphics course just in the arts and design world. Um, and like John is mentioning about MathML, but we've got to get the faculty up to speed on how to create that MathML or using LaTeX and all those sorts of things. And I just, not just at my own campus, but at other campuses or through other situations, run into faculty who are struggling with how to talk about math. And now that I know that John is at your campus, there's a possibility I'll be reaching out to him. Because one of my suggestions to folks at the SUNY level is, within all the SUNY schools, we've got to have a few folks who are sight impaired or are blind and can, talk to us about their learning experience and how they have learned things like math and how we can help faculty get over the challenge of how do I do this thing. So it's anyway, it's there's lots of people working on these things, but we're all working separately. And I'm hoping, along with some other folks, that we can start doing more things like this, where we can come together and share resources and ideas and experiences. So thank you so much, Claudia, and everyone who's organized this. I always appreciate Erin moderating these types of sessions.
Yes, Doris, I would love to have some sort of forum where we could solve a discipline-specific issues.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. Absolutely. Ben's suggestion is to encourage faculty about how it's easier to create from scratch now, right, than to retrofit later. Absolutely true.
Yes, and I heard that before also in the previous presentations. We keep using the word proactive.
Mm-hmm. I also appreciate, Claudia, with your presentation, the perspective of time to remediate, because it can seem so overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
To look at your whole course and everything that needs to be done. And we're thinking about that too, just with all of our digital assets at SUNY Online. And the idea that, there are some things that you can chunk and you can make them more manageable. They're small things that take a minute here or there. And while that does add up, if we tackle some of those things, when you have that time, what can I do in the extra 10, 20 minutes, right? To take and get ahead.
Yeah, I found it very overwhelming when I first started to attend these sessions on accessibility. I felt, how am I going to tackle this? And so that's what prompted me to start to think about that checklist that we saw in the earlier presentation, to make it manageable. If we feel confident, obviously, the faculty is going to feel more confident.
And I think John's comment in the chat is the best quote of the day, perhaps. Accessibility is part of the foundation, not the facade. Right? Other questions and comments?
That's right, Lisa.
Yeah,
Starting
Doris.
with the low-hanging fruit, yes. And I will say, I think it's also because we're educators, they really love getting the 100%. And there are times actually when I'll work with a faculty member, we get to like 98%, and they're like, no, but why? But why? I need to get the extra 2%. So yes, it's very rewarding. So getting that, just working with the syllabus to start and seeing that they have that feeling of accomplishment helps us when it gets a little bit harder later on.
I was going to just say something about the 100%, which is my faculty love the little green gauge and ally, and they love getting 100%. But I've got way too many examples of courses and items within courses that show 100%, but in fact, the documents, the materials are not accessible. And so that's part of my challenge on my campus is convincing people that you actually have to do some manual testing. You need to have an understanding of accessibility and not just rely on Ally so that you can catch the things that you can trick Ally into thinking that it's 100%. But that's my
That's
that's
true.
my 2 cents.
That's true, Doris. When I've put documents through the Microsoft Office or the Microsoft PowerPoint accessibility checker, and they have identified accessibility issues when Ally had not.
I have examples of documents that none of the checkers caught it. Things like the entire document was really a screenshot and they marked it decorative, or it was the alt text was the title of the image and not actual alt text, and that was the entire document, like an infographic with images and text, and it fools everything, but it doesn't help anybody who actually needs the accessibility. So for what it's worth.
Lisa's saying that the SUNY DLE site has course templates and a syllabus template. So yeah, I mean, we have it. It's just getting the buy-in. Thanks,
And
Erin.
it's interesting because even as I put in that link, so in Zoom meetings, I'm able to make a descriptive link, but here in Zoom webinar, I don't seem to be able to do that. So isn't that interesting? All right, well, given the time, I'll go ahead and put up our closing slide and have Lori close us out. But thank you so much for everyone for contributing and for your expertise in sharing that, Claudia.
Thank you, everyone.
I agree 100%. Thank you, Claudia. And thank you to all the attendees for your attention and participation in today's webinar. Recordings for this week's National Distance Learning Week sessions will be posted on our website. National Distance Learning Week is sponsored by the US DLA, who also hosts additional events this week. And I will put the links in the chat to their other events on their website. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.